Good day, grade 12s. The next little section that we're going to look at today, a very, very short section on Indigenous knowledge. This is something that I ask relatively often, so you can expect a question on this. They have asked this before as an 8-mark discuss question, or even as the additional part to the essay question. All right, so I would suggest that you study this section really, really well. All right, so what is Indigenous knowledge? It is basically the local knowledge, knowledge that is unique to a given culture or society, knowledge that is unique to a particular person, a group of people, and it often forms the basis of local level decision making. All right, so when people make decisions, obviously they are influenced by their Indigenous knowledge, their culture, their rituals, their traditions. It's basically knowledge that is unique to a specific cultural grouping, a specific group of people. Okay, so Indigenous culture, when we talk about Indigenous culture, that refers to all the traditions, the habits of a particular cultural group, okay, their traditions, their architecture, their rituals, things that they tend to do, the music that they listen to, the artwork that is unique to that specific culture, the dancing, right? Anything that is specific of that culture. Right, and obviously this is a huge tourist attraction that was neglected in the past. I've mentioned throughout this chapter that cultural tourism is a very fast-growing segment of tourism. And obviously in South Africa, we have a large variety of different cultures. So people can come to South Africa to have a very rich cultural experience. All right. So many cultures have come together in South Africa over the past 500 years. Obviously, we've got not only just South African cultures, but obviously for our Indigenous knowledge, the focus will very much be on our Indigenous people. Okay, so because the Indigenous culture is so diverse and rich, as I said, we've got many different cultural groupings, each with its own music and art and rituals and interesting stories, etc. So obviously it attracts millions of foreign tourists. As I said, they can come to South Africa and have a variety of cultural experiences. Now, I mentioned in a previous lesson also that tourists that come to South Africa for the cultural experience, they are not satisfied with a passive experience. They don't want to just stand on the side and see, okay, this is the Zulu people and this is the clothing that they wear, and they learn about the food that they eat. They don't want just a passive experience. They want to have an authentic experience. They want to be a part of that cultural experience. So they don't just want to hear about the food that a particular culture would be eating. They want to eat the food themselves. They don't just want to watch the Zulu dances. They want to do the Zulu dances themselves. They don't just want to hear the Zulu stories. No, they want to sit around that campfire and listen to the elders to tell the different cultural stories. All right. So they want to experience the culture for themselves. They want to go and stay in a Khoisan village and stay in the huts that the Khoisan stay in. They want to dig for the water. They want to eat what they eat and do what they do. They want to feel that unique experience at the destinations. All right. So they want to understand more about the Indigenous culture. They want to learn about the history of the different cultures. They want to know exactly how local people live, how they work, how they make decisions, what family life is like, what kind of work they do, what would be expected of the men, what would be expected of the women. Okay, so that they can learn about these different cultures. All right. Now, the Indigenous knowledge attraction specifically in South Africa, that will include all of our cultural villages. Okay, there's some examples for you. There's the Shangana village in Mpumalanga, the Basotho village in the Free State, the Simunye Zulu Lodge in KwaZulu-Natal. All right, these are 3 examples of cultural villages that can be found in South Africa, where tour guides will explain and demonstrate the storytelling and the Indigenous knowledge practices. Now, they can go to these cultural villages and spend time with people from that culture, learn about their culture, learn about their history, listen to the stories that they tell, eat the foods that they eat. Right. Then it also includes the cultural and township tours, like, for example, with Soweto. The Soweto tours are very, very popular both with domestic tourists, but especially also with the foreign tourists, where in Soweto they are able to visit the freedom struggle sites. They want to experience life at home with a household in Soweto. They want to eat at a shebeen or a township restaurant. They want to drink the local homebrew beer. They want to eat the foods. They want to see how people live, né, in Soweto. Right, and others. Okay. Then we also have the World Heritage Sites. That's part of our Indigenous knowledge. Okay, obviously this we get different kinds of World Heritage Sites. All right. The first one that we did mention before is Mapungubwe. Okay, Mapungubwe is in Limpopo province. This is where they found the ruins and archaeological finds of the early Stone Age settlement. Okay, so literally they found evidence of like a Stone Age civilization. And from the archaeological finds, they make certain assumptions about how the people lived, etc., etc. Right. From Mapungubwe, you'll remember from primary school, it was part of history in the primary school, where this is where they found that the golden rhino, etc., etc. And there's plenty of archaeological finds, like treasures that they found there that could show them exactly how those people lived. Okay, then the Vredefort Dome, that's in the Free State and the Northwest. I did explain this in a previous lesson as well. This is the site where 2 billion years ago, a meteorite hit South Africa and displaced the whole Earth. Yeah, remember I said to you, you can see how it is a very flat area, and where the meteorite hit, the impact moved the Earth and created this mountain range where there's no other mountains in sight, and where the area is very sandy. There where the site hit, obviously when the meteorite hit the earth, it broke up into like little pieces, so it's very rocky there at the site, like pieces of the meteorite that is lying there physically. Right. Then the Sterkfontein Caves, that's in the Cradle of Humankind. Okay, this is where the skull of Mrs. Pless was found. That gives people an indication that basically Africa is the cradle of humankind. So Africa is where the first humans kind of evolved. All right. Then Robben Island, obviously that's where the political prisoners like Nelson Mandela was in jail. People want to go there and see what it's like there. The jail still stands, and they take you on a tour across the whole island and physically showing you this is Madiba's cell, and they tell you exactly how it worked. There's people that work there that physically was imprisoned there with Nelson Mandela and others, and they tell you the stories of what it was like back then and how they were treated, etc., etc. All right, and then we also have the Richtersveld Cultural and Botanical Landscape. This is a combination of a cultural heritage site and a natural heritage site. All right, then we also have certain environmental heritage sites, okay, to show our Indigenous environmental uniqueness, what makes our environment different. Okay, I've referred before to the Isimangaliso Wetland Park, that's formerly known as St. Lucia. There's basically 5 different ecosystems in that wetland park. Okay, it is very special in the sense that everywhere else you will find one particular ecosystem, and at St. Lucia 5 different ecosystems are combined into one area. All right, so that is a World Heritage Site because there's nowhere else in the world that 5 ecosystems are combined into one. Then we also have the Cape Fynbos region. That includes Table Mountain and the Agulhas National Park. Obviously, this is all natural heritage sites. Table Mountain, obviously the mountains, and then the botanical, the flowers and whatever at the Agulhas National Park. And then lastly, the Drakensberg Park. That's basically the entire Drakensberg mountain range. Obviously also a natural heritage site, okay, because it is mountains. All right. And then part of our Indigenous knowledge also is arts and cultural festivals. Okay, there's a few arts and culture festivals that happens around our country throughout the year. Okay, a very well-known one is the National Arts Festival that is held every single year in Grahamstown, where people go to experience music and different art forms, visual art forms, paintings, etc., as well as dramatic arts where people do performances, etc. Okay, so that's an arts and culture festival. Then we have the Hermanus Whale Festival. There's an awesome African music festival, the Makufi African Cultural Festival. There's the Art Club Festival that's in Potchefstroom every year. There's a whole bunch of these festivals that takes place every single year. Remember, art, music, drama, it's all part of the cultural experience. All right, So make sure that you know this section very, very well, in case, they can combine this with one of the essay questions as an additional part. We have to evaluate or give information about the Indigenous knowledge in South Africa and how we can use this to promote our tourism. Okay, or as I said, as an 8-mark discuss question, or then shorter type questions. It can also be a data response question, I suppose. All right, that's that. We've got one more lesson to go.